or like clearing the camera.
So what? I'm on tour right now. I ain't trying to,
We're live, boys.
It's the new OGs. The new OGs is a State Madison Entertainment production and is brought to you by Sun Life Solar. Sun Life is helping homeowners in Illinois take advantage of a program that lets them get solar power at no cost. So if you are a single-family homeowner in the state of Illinois, you can lower your electric bill, raise the value of your home, and do something good for the environment without paying a single dollar out of your pocket to do so. Nothing out of pocket.
Bobby, I'm a tree-loving motherfucker. I love trees, man. Does this shit help the trees?
It does help the trees.
That's beautiful. Because if I could fuck a tree, I would fuck a tree.
Oh, well, that's there's probably somebody to talk to about that. But listen, I mean, here's the deal: with all your love of trees, Sun Life can only work with you if they can save you money, even on top of all that. So save even more trees.
I get to help trees and save money.
And save money. It's a great deal.
That's amazing.
Yeah, to top it all off, they're a SunPower dealer. That's an American panel maker with over 30 years of solar experience. And Sun Life even has a referral program that pays out as much as $500 per referral. So head over to www.illinoissolar.today and get in contact for a free consultation or to refer someone you know. We are also brought to you by People of Comedy. That is the network that we are on right now. James Weber today.
What's up?
Make sure you go to People of Comedy on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Check out all their videos they've got going on. They've got tons of great stuff. Information on protests that are happening. They'll be live at I think a protest later today.
Yes,
is that
sir.
Right, James?
That is correct. Right after this.
They're still happening. They're still happening.
All day,
The
baby.
protests are still happening. The media isn't there in general, but the media, as in People of Comedy, is there specifically. So make sure you check that out. Get out there and check it out. What is going on, XL? How you doing, man?
What is going on is that James Webb is supporting making people laugh and saving motherfuckers' lives. People got that's what's up.
Yeah, it's so. I think it's funny because there was this article that came out a few weeks ago. And we talked about it, about how comedy was dying in Chicago. And like People of Comedy as a network is doing nothing but exploding as a podcast studio. So, and what they put together. So a community,
There's more content coming.
Yeah, there's it's interesting because like right when the pandemic hit, everyone closed down and like it was really rough for everybody out there. And the studio took a huge hit too. We lost 60% of our shows because people weren't coming out. It was unsafe. But now, people are at home. They're looking for something to do and watch. And comedians have stepped up and really like come to this online format to kind of take over the world again. So like, and we're here with that as long as the world will have us. So thank you guys.
Yeah, that's cool, man. You guys have been able to put up so much good stuff while this is all going on, including, your coverage of the protest stuff. So like,
thanks, man.
It's there's a thing about the cutting that goes to the arts and entertainment industry when things like this happen, but that also encompasses, hate it or like it, the ability to get out documentation of what's happening in the world right now.
Yeah.
And having, the fact that we happen to be friends with people who have cameras and who have microphones and who have the time to go out and put some of this stuff out there is just a necessary thing if we are going to be observing any type of freedom at this level. So it's cool that
it's awesome. It's awesome, and it's simultaneously unfortunate that James is out here doing it, because I say that I say unfortunate because we shouldn't have to do this. Like,
right.
We got local news stations. We have local news stations. We have radio stations. We have people who should be out there. I listen to Liberal. There's a liberal radio station in Chicago. I don't hear them talking about marches and shit in Chicago at all.
Yeah.
Like there's a 2 o'clock to 5 p.m. in the afternoon show that's run by an ex-Chicago reporter. I can't think of her name right now. Older white woman. She's been in Chicago on Channel 5 forever. And she talks about local politics all the time. doesn't
Is it
bring
Alice
up.
Rosati?
No. It's the other one. Short blonde hair, has kind of a Karen cut almost.
I know who you're talking about.
She's like a legend here in the city.
Yeah.
But she does a good job. I'm not even saying this to shit on her. I'm saying it's unfortunate that she, even though that's the protest wouldn't necessarily be her beat. Her beat is what's happening in Chicago.
Yeah.
And what's happening in Chicago politically. And these protests are making Mayor Lightfoot make decisions. Like I watched Mayor Lightfoot this morning on CNBC this morning. They were talking to her about how COVID was affecting business.
Yeah.
And she tied COVID and Black Lives Matter and like the discussion she was having with businesses to help all three at the same time, because obviously there are things going on in the Black community that are that COVID is affecting us at a higher rate, and in addition to that, the unemployment is affecting us at a higher rate. So she was talking about how all those things come about. But the protests are making her do that. If there were not people in the street, she wouldn't even be talking about that.
Yeah.
And she's having conversations with CEOs and other politicians about that. So it's good that People Comedy is covering the protests.
It's cool to see. This is my one last thing. I'll let you guys go with the show. Sorry to take over any part of the show, by the way.
No, it's important, man.
Hey, baby, I started this.
Anyway,
I wanted to shout you out.
thank you. So it's the I think we went over this a few episodes ago. Like just the list of kind of the demands that have been met by all of the protesters over the last like month or so. And all of these, incremental, not gigantic, but changes nonetheless to these systems that, you arguably shouldn't be there, frankly, but can definitely be changed to be better until we can feasibly get rid of them entirely. Just like you said, like Lori is out here listening to the people. She has to make these changes because we're not going anywhere. Like it's fucking July 10th, motherfucker. We're still out here protesting every single week. There's a protest every day, and I feel terrible that I can't go out and cover it because, we don't get, like, I got to make money. But, like, the days that we can get out there, like, bro, we are fucking out there because everyone else is still out there. So make no mistake. We'll see ABC and NBC and, like, CBS and all of them for, like, 5 minutes. They'll put a big camera down. They'll put some Donald Trump Jr. looking motherfucker in a suit with a microphone out there, and then they'll be there for 5 minutes and leave. They get their little clip and they leave. We're there the whole fucking time, and we ain't going anywhere. So, if you're listening to this live, if you're watching this live, stay tuned to People of Comedy. We will be there at 3:30 today after this. So
nice. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the thing is that, even now I see groups in like, not to name names, the more more white populated south parts of the city of Chicago. I'm in some of those groups. Yeah. And it's where a lot of the cops in Chicago go home to apparently when the day is done.
Yeah.
And first of all, everybody's mad at Lori Lightfoot, right? Like everybody.
Yeah, dude.
Everybody's mad. Either you're a cop who's mad because you want to pull out the. It's so funny though because I'll be in these groups and every week it's how many people got shot or killed in Chicago, and their complaint is always about like, oh, you want to get rid of the cops and this is what's happening, and it's like, this is what's happening with the cops, motherfucker. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Like with all the cops, all the budget and all this money, these are the results.
Yeah.
So at the bare minimum, like a different approach is probably a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Like
there are people who presume that the police are holding the barbarians at the gate. Like they believe that
like
if the police left,
yeah,
they think 50 shootings would be 500 if not for the police, which is insane.
Yeah.
Because some of the shootings is because somebody snitched to the police. I mean, let's keep it 100. but no, it's the idea that people are just going to all of a sudden run away and attack other neighborhoods or something like that is ludicrous. And I'll tell you why. Because I live in a neighborhood that I know for a fact if where I live got rid of police, I know my neighborhood would pay for their own fucking police. Like, I know that I would be at a homeowners association meeting talking about which security firm are we hiring to protect our neighborhood, and it wouldn't be like nobody would complain about it 1 second. It would be immediately like, yes, this is what we need to do. Like that's what we do. That's what the fuck will happen. And to be honest, if every neighborhood, I know this is gonna sound like despotic possibly, but if the nice neighborhoods that really think they need the police, if they just had their own security, I think there'd actually be less shit because their own private security could get fired. They'd actually get fired. You know what I'm saying? They'd actually lose their job if they killed somebody on the fucking property.
There's accountability.
You know what I mean? Especially if they killed like a guest or somebody who they weren't supposed to kill. Like if they killed a robber, they'd get a promotion because they killed a fucking robber. But if they killed somebody they weren't supposed to kill on the fucking property, they're going to fucking jail. They're going to lose their job. So they're probably going to be better at their jobs. And you know what? Private firms do more vetting than police do.
Yeah. They'd still be held accountable for all. They'd be held accountable for all actions. So just, like the thing is, like we do this with coronavirus. We do this with police interactions. It's everybody wants to tell look at how many people didn't die. But it's like, well, yeah, but between death and like perfectly fine, there's a lot of gray area. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of room for like punched in the head 5 times. You know what I mean? There's a lot of room for like rape. There's a lot of, you know what I mean? There's a lot of room for
arguments. Their arguments are always so fucking stupid because the argument's always like, well, what are we going to do about all the murders on the south side and the west side of Chicago? Well, we still need to fix that, okay? And the police aren't fixing it, so we need to do other things. So if we got rid of the police, maybe we could take that $3 billion budget and maybe take like $500,000 and like build a couple of places for people to go talk to somebody, huh?
Right.
Because guys have a fucking hug.
So
Teach
like
black men to stop being so homophobic.
The issue we run into is that like we keep going after like the end result of what's going on, right? Like you want to go kill a snake after it's already bit you in the arm, but you haven't made any effort to try and like calm the snake down or like figure out a way to not get pissed off in the first place, or like not create an environment.
Maybe we could just, you know what, feed the snake, because you know what, hungry snakes don't bite.
But you know, until we're willing to address like issues like drug legalization and legalization of prostitution and sex work and some of these other areas until we start to legalize those things,
because this 1 ounce of marijuana is perfectly legal in this state.
Exactly. So like until that is a thing that is legal everywhere, and not only that, but like you then have to do something for those people who previously had been living in that industry and in that world, right? So like you have to take these people who were living in a black market version of their industry and allow those people an opportunity to make their business a real business in a legitimate world that you are now going to accept. And also address the things that drive people into overuse, addiction, abuse, all those things that damage those things in the first place. And so if you're not willing to address those things, then you're going to keep running into problems and you know, we have to create living wages because there's like people who have enough money aren't committing armed robberies, right? Like you know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of guys who are like top 10 salesmen at their company who are also bank robbers on the weekends. That's not what happens, right? There's not a lot of people.
Hey Bobby, I was never a quote unquote stick up person. I never like used a weapon or anything like that. But I very, very often walked out of stores with things that I did not purchase. Sure. At a frequency at one point, me and 2 buddies of mine had a house that we rented together. That everything except for like our beds were stolen, and actually my mattress was stolen. But my point is to say this. And then I got a scholarship to play basketball, became a professional basketball player and a broker. And you know what I stopped doing? Stop stealing out of stores, because I had a lot more to lose because I had money. It changed. Yeah, it changed. I wasn't a bad person. I was an asshole. I was broke. I wasn't broke. I didn't do that shit anymore.
People commit crimes for 2 reasons, right? One, because they think they have the power to get off if they do something wrong. And 2, because they have nothing to lose in the first place. Those are the only two. Those are the two main. Those are the two. Now, people can make crimes for other reasons, but those are the two main reasons. People think that they are above getting in trouble, and people like the ramifications of the trouble they're about to get into are not valued at the level of whatever it is they're about to do that's illegal. Those are the two main. They have nothing to lose, or they are above it. That's generally what you find, at least in my experience. I'm sure someone who knows more about it will tell me I'm wrong.
Or they're hungry.
Right. Yeah, or they're hungry. And so, like, if you address the reasons that cause people to commit crime, creation of a black market, poor wages, stacking people on top of each other, continued discrimination, if you will address those things, then the crime rate will fall, but also you are risking capitalism because capitalism is built off those things. And so if you can find me a version of capitalism that can separate being able to equalize the citizenry, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, whatever. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. And also, like, then you can definitely do away with that. But
there's a way. There's a way, and we've been doing it slowly, and it's horrible. It's not a good way. And the way is we shipped our slavery overseas to small parts of Asia that need the labor, that don't have labor laws and things like that, and they basically work those people to death. And if we did more of that, it'd be better over here, but then we'd be creating a whole different situation over there.
It wouldn't necessarily be better over here because you'd also have to, I mean, even if you
we'd have to redistribute the wealth.
Right.
I'm sorry, I left that part out. We'd have to redistribute some of the wealth for doing that. There would have to be a universal wage because
that's a big holdup, right? Like you have to.
You would have. I'm sorry, I didn't finish because I was packing my pipe. Then you would have to also include a universal wage because you'd be taking all the jobs from here, right. And that universal wage would go to the people who would be getting like I can tell you from firsthand experience, a manufacturing job changed the whole trajectory of my entire family. My grandfather left the South, came up here and got a job at a factory. Bought houses and shit. Multiple houses. All his kids own houses. Sent his grandkids to college and shit. His kids went to college. Sent his grandkids to college because he got a fucking factory job in the 50s or 60s or something like that.
I mean, you were essentially
changed his whole fucking world.
You were essentially a Republican for a little while simply because
I could be. Because that motherfucker laid a foundation that gave me the surroundings to make me think, you know what, there is fair distribution in the world. That's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was on the old school shit, but then once you get inside, like, I was teed up to be one of those niggas you see on TV that you be like, what's wrong with that dude, man?
Right.
Like, does he not have any other black friends? Does he not know other black people to tell him? Yeah. I you know what's them two fat chicks from North Carolina that sound good? Yeah. Silk Diamond and I'd have been gold. With gold teeth, talking about Trump is the man. I was on that trajectory, but then I actually started listening to the motherfuckers. Like there's one thing to hear the thing that they want you to hear, and it's another thing to actually listen to what they're saying and realize that most of what they're saying is complete trash. Like they take a kernel of truth, they take a smidgen of truth and just fucking go 100% 180 the other way with it. And every time you can fact check their shit, and there's always holes, and the way you can tell the difference between, and I know this is going to sound partisan, and you could just say, I just feel like they were some liberal, but I was on the other side, and the way you can tell the difference is Democrat shit, liberal shit, when you look it up, you can find multiple sources of people backing it up with things like numbers and science and facts. Republican shit, once you get to the bottom of it, it's always a conspiracy or some kind of spook shit that you got to be in a secret society to fully get. Every time.
Well, the thing is, for me, the difference when you look at the two parties is that Democrats are cool with pulling in taxes that will help some poor people if it'll help some poor people, but they just need to be able to get rich along the way, like Democratic politicians. No, we think you do deserve help, and we're willing to tax a bunch of wealthy people, including us, if we need to get you some more money. But, you know,
We're going to make it up on the back end.
But if we don't make no money, if we can't keep the power, though, and the money, then that means sometimes you got to put a bunch of y'all in jail and shit, but we're going to still try and fight to keep getting you more money. And Republicans are like, we know a lot of you guys don't like abortion. And we know a lot of you guys are too proud to assume that you would need some aid in being equalized in this country. And so if you stand with us, you get to say that, like, you made it on your own and everybody should do it. And that abortion is terrible. And then you get to look like a hero to God because you've been, you know, taught that Christianity is a real religion. And so those are the two sides. Those are the two. If you want me to encompass how I see the two parties, that's how I see them. And there is an element to the defiance of blackness that is appealed to by a party that says pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is possible. Look at these examples. If they did it, you can do it. But it's like that meme that I made of fucking Bruce Wayne climbing out of the pit in that last Batman movie, where it's like, well, you know how, like, first of all, it's so incredibly hard to even do that only two motherfuckers even did the shit. You know what I mean? If that dude to get out of the pit, where a bunch of people already never had to be in the pit before. Only this group of people has to crawl out of the pit, right? First of all, why the fuck are we stuck having to crawl out of the pit? But anyway, the pit is ridiculous to crawl out of. Only a couple people make it out, and the ones that make it out get told by the people up there that anybody should be able to get out of the pit. Then they turn around and yell at everybody down there, I made it out, you should be able to get out.
Yeah,
that is Black Republican stupidity.
Because even to take your example further, because the Republicans will hold up examples and be like, look at this person. Look at like the doctor who looks really, really stupid now, the head of HUD. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, Ben Carson.
Like they'll say, look at Ben Carson. He grew up in Detroit and on the projects, and he made it out. And it's like, Ben Carson is a motherfucking like genius. He literally did something that nobody else in the world could do. To take it to your example, the two people that made it out, one became a supervillain and one became a superhero. Like, that's how much better they were than everybody else. This nigga didn't just rob banks. He became a supervillain. He had a team of villains working for him. And Batman is motherfucking Batman. So that's the two. Like, you can't hold them up and then look at everybody else. That's insanity. That's fucking insanity.
But that is how I see how Black Republicans are. That is what I see that vision as. And, you know, the Republican Party itself has fought to, and that's why I also flip it, because Republicans have tried to figure out how to appeal to Black people, especially in the South, a place like that. And so they appeal to the religion that they've already indoctrinated them with. Because they've indoctrinated so many Black people in this country with Christianity and the rules of Christendom, then you have these attitudes towards abortion, towards these, towards homosexuality, towards the LGBTQ community that are like, that are not very open. And so the Republicans play on those things. And when you see Candace Owens, when you see Silk and Diamond, the things they talk about all the time are, they're against transgender people. They're against, you know what I mean? Like they don't like gay, they don't like homosexuality. They feed on that shit. They talk about how many unborn Black babies there are. That is always their shit, because that is what's been appealed to by that party for them. But none of that does anything to actually create real equality. Those talking points do not create actual equality between Black and white people. And I don't know where Silk and Diamond are going to get money from when and if Trump loses, but they will.
John, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. John Flugelgame, the comedian, had a great tweet. He's just like, "Hey, wait, November 4th. Hey, where you going? But wait." No, wait. Do we have a car coming, or are you just leaving us here? ... Silk and Diamond on November 4th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I need to stop saying November 4th, and everybody needs to stop saying November 4th. The presidency probably won't be decided until November 10th at the earliest.
Man, if he doesn't show up as the winner, I don't think it's going to be decided in January. I think we still going to this is going to be a problem that goes on for a
Now,
while.
here's the thing. I think what happened with the Supreme Court and what happened with the military has squashed that for me. I'm not afraid of that anymore. When the military leaders started all coming down on him when he pulled that shit against the protesters and they all openly spoke out, I feel like he's lost a lot of the swag that he had and the untouchableness that he had all the way up until now. I feel like that shit has diminished to a degree because of this COVID shit. Like before, there was nothing that was happening. Everything was going. The trains were running on time, to use a horrible fucking analogy. Everything was working, so nobody fucking complained. Well, now this shit is on haywire because he's actually faced with having to do some leadership shit, and he's failing miserably. We're the worst country in the world. We're supposed to be the best country in the world. We're literally the worst. We are numerically, like, if you ask the question, who handles this the worst? We are numerically, clearly handling it worse than any other country in the world. It's undisputable. More deaths, more people with it, and our curve isn't even going down. Our fucking curve never flattened. It's getting fatter and fatter every day like a pregnant bitch. And this motherfucker, now people get to see that he doesn't have that it matters. Leadership matters. Character matters. Integrity matters. He's lying about shit that means something now, and people see that. So I don't think he has that. Before COVID, the fear of him staying in office, if shit went haywire, I 100% shared it with you all the way. Right now, I can see them dragging him the fuck out of there.
Well, it's been almost 2 weeks now since the information came out about the Russian bounties on U.S. troops. And since then, he's had this July 4th speech in which he chose, instead of trying to create some, again, with another shot at trying to create a unifying speech, and instead decided to make a speech on Independence Day about essentially the war that he's going to go against on people that want to do things like take down Confederate statues. I mean, he refuses to say Confederate, but he spoke out against Bubba Wallace and the NASCAR ban of their flag, which he's talking about. It's the only flag they fucking banned was a Confederate flag, right? Yeah. He, talked about angry mobs and they're trying to tear down statues of our founders and shit like that. I mean, that July 4th speech at Mount Rushmore of all places. I mean, it was literally, he's going all in on the racial shit, right? Are we in on this? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It has not been a dog whistle for a long time. It's been a full-blown whistle. It's been a bullhorn. It is an air raid siren at this point. Like, he's hoping and praying that the number, we all know the number of people who say they're racist or people who will identify themselves as racist versus the number of people who actually are racist are hugely different number. The number is very, very, it's a big difference between the two. And what he's hoping and praying is of the 100 million people who didn't vote in the last election, he's hoping and praying that there's like 30 million of them that are racist as fuck and are willing to go to the polls. And those are the people who haven't been getting polled because they're not registered voters. There are people who've been lax and all this shit. He's hoping to get them to rise up. And what I don't think he gets is, between COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement, they've exposed him so much that even some of those people who are racist, they don't want to die. Like they don't want to die because you don't know how to handle the fucking COVID situation. Like even if we get a vaccine in January, I don't think he's gonna handle it right. I think he's gonna fuck it up somehow. I won't trust our vaccine. I'm waiting for another country's vaccine.
I mean, there's been some senators that are saying some Republican senators that are like big name senators. I think it was Chuck Grassley and Lamar Alexander. They're not going to the convention.
Yeah, 5.
They're not going to Florida.
Yeah, 5.
They're not going to. I mean, I don't know if you're listening to this and you don't know who Chuck Grassley is or Lamar Alexander, look those guys up. Those are guys who have been staunch Trump guys. Those are guys who say, sometimes you hear one of them crazy quotes from some senator and you're like, who the fuck It's Chuck
Chuck
Grassley a lot of the
Grassley.
times.
Fucking Chuck Grassley a lot of the time. Chuck Grassley.
That is often they're not even going to the convention.
So
So
Lamar Alexander in the background like Flavor Flav.
yeah, do you think there's any chance that he is essentially bailed upon by Republicans by the time the convention comes about, and they just go, "Fuck it"?
Bobby, there's not going to be a convention. There's not going to be a convention. There's not going to be an NBA season. There's not going to be Major League Baseball. There's not going to be an NFL season. College football, the fucking Big Ten already announced that they're getting rid of all of the non-conference games, which is a third of their schedule, and they're going to get rid of those games. I think because I think they play 4 non-conference games, and they play 12 games. So yeah, it's a third of their schedule, and they're not going to play because it's impossible to not pass this shit in a large group of people.
I mean, they're saying it's airborne now.
And here's the thing.
They're saying it's been airborne, but it's airborne.
Yeah, it's not airborne. It didn't get a new power. It's not leveling up.
Airborne.
Airborne powers activate.
The 5G towers are all up now.
Like
so
a Godzilla flick when Godzilla started fucking up the main monster, and then all of a sudden the monster it doubles up, becomes a bigger monster or some shit. Or
it's like Baraka where he fucking.
Yeah.
No, it is. I mean, so you know, it being airborne essentially means we're fucked. I don't know if there's another way to really put it. Airborne means we're all getting it. But the weird thing is, it's like while this is going on, so anybody who's in real medicine is like, yeah, man, it's getting worse. And like all the states where shit is going down is like, yeah, it's going crazy right now. Cases are wild. Deaths are down, sure, but like this thing doesn't you don't get it today and you're dead tomorrow. It takes like 4 or 5 weeks, sometimes 6 weeks. And then like a lot of people survive. Most of the people survive. They survive. Many of them survive with no necessarily issues. A lot of people are sick. I know people that are 60 days in. 60 days in. I know them personally. It's not like a friend of a friend. Like I got friends on Facebook, 60 days in plus, still struggling to get out of bed. I know people who have continuing lung issues. I know people who are dealing with blood clot issues.
Let's be clear.
Vascular systems. It's not like, and listen, people get weird because I post shit online and they're like, oh, he's just trying to get people afraid, or you're part of the people trying. It's not about just being afraid. It's a literal crapshoot. It's a literal crapshoot what happens to you.
Telling you the truth about what's happening is not trying to frighten people.
No.
You're afraid. When people say that, just say shit frightens you and you don't want to deal with it. Because that's what it is. Stop speaking for these mythological other people that I'm supposed to be trying to scare. You're scared. And just say you're scared. And it's okay to be scared. This is some scary shit. I'm not walking around with a mask on in the grocery store because this is some cozy shit. I look like a boss in a video game. When I go fucking grocery shopping, man. Look at this shit. I left my regular mask. I went and got bagels like this morning, my nigga. This is why I'm wearing this shit right now. I just had it on. I went and got bagels with this shit because I left my regular mask on. I look like Black Jesse James, like a fat, black, Western fucking hero, bad guy. Like, this is insane. In
a normal world, you would not want to wear that into a store for fear that you would get fucked up.
Yeah, yeah. Like that's the point. Fuck all the bullshit. Fuck all the conspiracy theory. Fuck what little information I know because I'm not a doctor. That is when I knew that this was some serious shit. When I could walk into Jewel with a fucking black mask on, and everybody was like, little old ladies were looking at me like, that's a responsible young man. That's when I knew this was some real shit.
Yeah. The real issue is, the conflicting stuff that we're getting, because at the moment we're getting all this stuff where it's like all the doctors are like, hey, this is fucked up. And all the people in administrations are like, schools need to reopen, economy needs to get back going, places need to open up. And the reality as to why it's happening was highlighted earlier this week in an article. It was on the New York Times, and it was just a breakdown. People can think whatever they want to think about the New York Times, but it was a statistical breakdown in the article over who is getting affected with the virus. And so it looks a lot like, first of all, Black and Latino people get the virus at a ridiculously higher rate than everybody else. They've also found that because of tracing, because of the phone companies having data on where phone locations are, a lot of those cases are not coming from protests. Those cases are coming from people having to work in industries, manufacturing, meat packing, service, that get them more open to the virus. Also, because of systemic racism creating a lack of health care largely in those communities, a lot of them are a lot more immunocompromised. The numbers look closer together because they included all of the elderly people who are getting the virus over the age of 50, and a lot of elderly people who get the virus, people in nursing homes, are overwhelmingly white, which means when you take away those elderly people in nursing homes, the numbers are completely outrageous as to who is getting this virus. Also, Black and Latino communities are more likely to live in enclosed spaces, close together, apartment buildings, things like that. Latino families are more likely to have more people in the home than other families. So,
Bobby, what's fucked up? Do you know why the nursing homes were getting hit so hard? It's not just because they were old. Guess who are the nurses and the attendees at most of those nursing homes?
Correct.
Black and Latino people.
Yes, of course.
Right.
So what you deal with is a situation in which physicians and doctors and epidemiologists are recognizing like this disease is hitting hard, and you have a lot of these people in these administrations and economists who are going, well, it's only hitting these people hard. That's what's happening.
Yeah. And that's just, hey man, by the way, total just break for some funny shit. We're matching today. Total random shit. For those of y'all don't know, we are in two cities. We are 90 minutes apart from each other. And did not talk before the show today.
But we managed to pull it off.
Just pulled it off. We're matching. We got the coordinated look going. I feel like we're like a rap dance battle band, hip hop dance battle crew or something.
But that's the thing. Like they can't. You're dealing with a population that is working generally for tips or minimum wage, that has to work to keep making money, that can't afford to stay home or work from home.
Here's the thing, though. I also think. And I know because I see it happening. And so I also believe this is why the socialist agenda has been getting stronger and stronger in the Democratic Party and in the nation in general. People can see now that, look at what's been the last few months. People haven't been going to work, and for the most part, our world is basically the same. Like the whole fucking, it didn't cave. Grocery stores had a couple of bad weeks, but for the most part, everything's fucking the same. You can still go get ice cream. You can still go get a burger or a pizza. You can't sit inside your favorite restaurant, but you can sit outside if they have a deck, or you can get it to go. You can almost still live a little bit of a life. Not live. You can live fucking 75-80% of your life without us all slaving, working 50-hour, 60-hour weeks and extra overtime and extra pay, or working two jobs, or having to drive Uber and do other shit to make ends meet. It's happening right now. They don't like the fact that people are seeing that's happening, and the fucking walls aren't closing in, nothing's happening. They had to actually give money to people. The fucking Republicans had no problem giving more money to the banks. They had no problem giving more money to businesses. But when it comes to extending the $600 fucking payment that they have, they don't want to do it because their words, literally the thing that they're standing on, is that they believe that motivates people to stay home from work. Right. Well, guess what, dumbass? It's supposed to! It's supposed to. The entire point of it is to keep them at home because there's a fucking killer disease out there. And if they stay home, they can buy shit online or in a much safer manner. The economy keeps going. and you spend what is fucking chump change compared to what the fuck we spend on everything else. But because they're so concerned that a few poor people might be doing a little bit better than they were before. Listen, if you are a person who disagrees with my views, but for some reason you chose to listen to this podcast, I want you to think about that. This is their stance. They're angry that a few poor people are going to get a couple of extra bucks for 6 months of their fucking lives. That's the shit that pisses them off. In the middle of a fucking pandemic. This is the people that you stand with. They're disgusting.
Here's the other thing, though, is while that's going on, they're approving Paycheck Protection Program loans for Kanye West and for Jared Kushner's companies and for Reese Witherspoon's companies and for Pelosi's family's company and for, like, Democrats and Republicans both pushed through a bill.
To be fair, as a small business owner, I've owned multiple small businesses and I've had large staffs before. Just because those people have rich and famous names and they're wealthy does not mean that they don't need payroll help. Kanye sells a fucking lot of shoes. I don't know how big his staff is at Yeezys, but he might have a few hundred people, maybe 1,000 people across the world.
He can't have 1,000 people get the Paycheck Protection Program because it was for companies
under 500. Yeah, okay, yeah, good point. So whatever, maybe we got 400. I don't know. I don't know. Some of those businesses, it was bullshit. Some of those
but here's the whole point, though. The whole idea, though, is that if we all have under X amount of employees, and your company is worth X amount of billions of dollars, and my company is worth $10 million, the person who needs the loan is not you, Mr. Billion-dollar company guy with 5 companies. You don't need that loan, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Take that loss. That's part of doing business. That's business.
So, there's other things they need to be focusing on. They should be canceling rent, but Pelosi won't do that because she owns $46 million in real estate. So she won't be canceling rent. If the Democrats are waiting for Pelosi to come in and save them by canceling rent, it ain't going to happen. They're trying to send kids back to school.
I think rent should be in a state-by-state thing, and I think what the Democrats should do to save their asses is they can give the states discretionary money for pandemic relief, and the Democratic governors that want to do rent relief, and because there are some states that really, really need it way more than other states. Illinois, California, New York, where rent is high as fuck. Washington State, in Seattle, and I think Portland is high as fuck too. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think those areas like that, go fucking help them. Florida does not need it. I know Florida. I know you guys think you have expensive real estate. You do not. You do not. Even the shit that's on the beach is cheap compared. Like, if that shit was here, it'd be worth it 10 times what you guys think.
That shit is a hurricane away from not being real estate anymore. That shit's a hurricane away from being
that kid got a condo on the beach for $200,000 there. Like, and they're like, it's $200,000 for a condo. I was like, it's on the beach.
To try and recover from some of this shit, there's still politics to play. There's like 115 days or something until the election. Tucker Carlson went after Tammy Duckworth. Which is just so. Here's the thing, right? So Trump isn't going to go attack Tammy Duckworth because that's insanity, right? This is but a TV show host can because he doesn't have to have scruples anyway.
Nah, man. You don't know. Tucker Carlson is Trump's butt buddy. Anything that Tucker Carlson do, Trump do. So you can believe that there's some kind of tweet or some shit coming for Tammy Duckworth, which might fuck around and make Tammy Duckworth the vice president.
He'll retweet it for sure. He'll retweet some shit, but he won't post his own stuff. He'll retweet Tucker Carlson saying something.
Because Tammy Duckworth is witty as fuck. She represents Illinois quite well. And
she's also a vet who lost her legs. Surfing
a vet who lost her legs and then became a mother in her 40s twice, my nigga.
And a senator.
And as a senator. Like, I mean, like Tucker Carlson had the nerve to call. I forget. He didn't unimpressive. He that's the words that left his mouth. That pissant motherfucker called her unimpressive. A helicopter pilot, a war zone helicopter pilot.
Right. A military.
Suck everybody's dick. I don't care if you like it. Suck everybody's dick. Oh my God.
Total joke for that. While that was going on, Trump lost one tax issue and kind of half one another. Cy Vance is going to get to see Trump's taxes before the election. What the people are not going to get to see Trump's taxes before the election, which I think is a shame. I wish we would get a chance to see it.
So, I don't care as much about that as I once did. Because, again, I believe that there is an economic pit about to happen in the fall when COVID, the actual full-blown fucking second version of COVID comes, and we still aren't prepared for it because why the fuck would we be? We haven't changed anything now. There's states right now in the middle of fucking the worst epidemic that we've had, and they're not making changes or they're hesitant to. So we're going to be unprepared in October, and that shit's going to be worse, and people are going to see his failure. And so I don't think those taxes are going to mean shit. I think it was a double loss for him because even though Congress won't get to see it until probably after the election, imagine if they got him in November and were able to prove that he lied about some shit under oath because they had the taxes to prove that there was something that he did, and they impeached that motherfucker because the Republicans would have got routed, and then they might not have any loyalty to that motherfucker because they've lost 10 fucking spaces, and some of the outgoing Republicans might. And imagine he gets impeached and fucking kicked out before he even gets to finish his term. I would love that so much. I would love that so much because he could end up getting double impeached and double impeached. Two peaches. Double peaches. The only he'd be the second. I think Andrew Johnson was double impeached as well. So he could get double impeached and have, I have a vision of military police putting that motherfucker in handcuffs when that scene where he's supposed to get on Air Force Two.
That's just wet dream shit now.
That is wet dream shit, but I don't like people keep comparing this to the situation with Obama. And Obama that wasn't like a major thing that Obama promised. He said that somebody pulled up a fucking article that he said that he'd let the Attorney General look into it. He let the Attorney General look into it, man. They fucking committed a war crime. That shit is insanely hard to prove. We're going to really put a president on trial for that? Like, if you really think about that, that's a bad fucking look for America. But this motherfucking Trump, this motherfucker let Americans die and did nothing. This motherfucker clearly was making some kind of private deals with Russia that we couldn't look at because he was the president.
Well, I think that's what the taxes show, though. I think if you get to the taxes, you really see that, and I think that's the thing. Is like I want to know, was it duplicitous the whole time? I want to see the proof of it.
So you know what I believe is going to happen? I believe come next probably March or April, the must-see TV is going to be the Trump trials. That motherfucker's going to be sitting in front of Congress as an ex-president without any ability to tell these motherfuckers no.
That'd be so wild.
And he's going to be sitting there forced to answer questions and shit.
I think
they're going to make a zoo of this nigga.
Do you think Biden unleashed his plan? Do you think that he has I mean, you're more of a centrist guy than a leftist guy, but I'll ask you from your perspective. Do you think he's reached out enough to the left in some of the stuff he's put in that plan that should get people to go?
I will say this. Bernie feels like...
I mean, let me rephrase it. Do you think he's played himself better into the vote, or has Trump played himself more out of a vote for people that might be like...
Trump has played himself out of a vote, but Bernie and AOC gave their thumbs up to what Bernie is doing. And
what Biden's doing?
I said to what Bernie's doing, sorry. To what Biden's doing. Thank you for catching that. They gave their thumbs up before he even gave the actual speech. I listen to NPR in the car all the fucking time. I heard them both on NPR saying that that there was still some stuff that they wanted that didn't get in there, but a lot of stuff they wanted was already, like, AOC was like, some of the stuff we wanted was already there. We just didn't know it was there because, blah, 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 whatever. So if they feel comfortable, I know how AOC is the type of person that she'll be like, yeah, I'm riding with this nigga, but I ain't really with this nigga. She'll say if she wasn't feeling it, and she seems to be endorsing it. So once they were like cool with it, I didn't even listen to the speech because I figured it's gonna be ballpark, probably lighter than what I wanted, but whatever. If he was good enough to get Bernie and AOC to like come out and say ahead of the thing that they were cool with it, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big step. I think, you'll go on social media and you'll see a bunch of people who are super far left that are still shitting on. And, I still have not decided how I feel about the whole. I'm not going to vote for Trump. That's an easy thing. I still don't know how I feel specifically about Biden, but it does.
Are you right in Illinois or Wisconsin?
I'll be in Wisconsin. It does matter. It does matter.
Yeah, we're going to have to work on that then.
It does matter that AOC and Bernie have both given their thumbs up. It matters that guys like Adi Barker, who has given his thumbs up on that. I think that's a big. Those are big deals when it comes down to it. So, yeah.
That's something else to say, Bobby. I'm just gonna let you know that if push comes to shove, November 3rd, you say, "Hey X man, I just can't do it. I can't vote for this motherfucker." I'm going to tell you, that's cool. Then I'm going to drive to your house and I'm going to drug you. And I'm going to drag you to the vote room and make you vote for Biden. I just let you know right now, I'm going to do it. So,
got it.
Little bit of Special K and you'll go all the way.
Let's talk about some other stuff that went on. In this past week, Carl Reiner passed away. Was it June 29th? It was maybe a week and a half ago. It was just before the start of July. Carl Reiner passed away. We didn't get a chance to talk about that last week on the show. He was an amazing creator of a number of different TV shows. He was an actor on Sid Caesar's show of shows. I think he created the Dick Van Dyke Show, Mary Tyler Moore. I mean, this guy was involved in so much.
And those shows were like the framework for future sitcoms and just like the growth of the industry altogether. Like I grew up, I remember Dick Van Dyke reruns. My great grandmother used to babysit me when I was really little, and WGN used to play Dick Van Dyke reruns. It was that and like three or four other shows. I think I Love Lucy was one of them too. This is late 70s, early 80s and shit. And I used to watch all those shows, and they were hilarious. I mean, I was a little kid, and I was still, I enjoyed, what I have fond memories of them.
Yeah.
And I remember Carl Reiner, I've been a fan of him since then because of that, because I knew who he was. You see his name at the end of every show and stuff. And back then, what is kind of, I guess, Nick at Night or whatever the shit that kids watch now to know all the shows from the 80s and stuff, that was regular late night network TV. What's now Fox and WGN, that's all they would play was those shows back in the day. They just play them on a fucking loop constantly. So Carl Reiner was kind of a big part of my comedy entertainment when I was a kid.
Yeah, really set the tone for the modern sitcom with the Dick Van Dyke Show. Also directed a bunch of great movies. Directed The Jerk. Directed Oh God.
The Jerk. Oh my God, I got suspended from school because of The Jerk. Yeah. I think I was in second grade, and there is a line in The Jerk where he says he writes home. He's writing a letter home. His mama's reading the letter, and she's like, "It's okay. I'm looking for work. I can't find anything, but I think if I can't find anything, Sally said it's okay. She's gonna give me a blowjob, right?" And I was in second grade or maybe first grade. I didn't know what a blowjob was, and I said it in art class. We had like our table at art class. There was like 5 other kids sitting there with me, and I said it, and the table laughed. And I was like, "You guys know what that means? I don't know what that means. Everyone's laughing at home." And the kids are laughing because the teacher's standing behind me. And I swear to God, this is my memory of her forever. This is not a comedy thing. Her exact words were, "I know what that means. Come with me, young man." And which sounds like the beginning of a porn. It wasn't. She just sends me to the principal's office. But Now, in retrospect, me hearing her go, I know what that means. I really wish I was smart enough to go, I bet you do, lady. But something like that. Give her, that's right, Diane. Something like that. I don't even know if her name was Diane. That just popped in my head. But yeah, I got suspended, and I remember my principal, my mom ended up cursing out the principal of my elementary school, who was, it doesn't matter who he was. He was a doctor, and he was doing a thesis on raising children or something, and he just assumed that she was like this poor black single mom, uneducated single mom. My pop was a high school principal and a college professor. My mom went to college. I did not grow up. It wasn't that dynamic in my house. Right. And my mom took fucking exception with it and lost. I remember her losing her shit because he said something like, "You can't let the TV raise your kid," or something, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, it's a fucking movie. Like, the whole family watched the movie together. Like, there's a little bad language. Like, and then she just lit into him, and I got suspended for 2 days.
In some modern TV shit, did you have Quibi? You said you had Quibi for a little bit, right?
I signed up for Quibi for the 90 days, and I canceled it a week before the 90 days without ever actually opening the app.
So Carl Reiner was the old school shit. Quibi was supposed to be the new school shit. It was created, I believe, by Jeffrey Katzenberg, who's a big famous movie cat, and a bunch of other big stars. The big claim to fame with Quibi is it was supposed to be made for the modern. This is a thing that happens every time somebody tries to do this shit. Every time some old motherfucker tries to create some shit for a young generation specifically, they fuck this shit up every time. Remember the Honda Element? The Honda Element was a car that was supposed to be a rugged, like, outdoorsy appeal to the younger generation. It had the one suicide door on the side. It was super boxy looking, and the only people that came to buy that car were like woodsy ass 50-year-old white ladies. Those are the only people that came to buy them cars. Those are the only people that came to buy them cars, right? And so they did the same thing with this. They thought that because young people like to be on their phones all the time, and they have short attention spans, they would want entertainment stream product that's like 8 minutes long and can only be watched vertically.
Hey,
and so
Bobby, I don't know if they knew this or not, but there's this shit called YouTube that was doing that already.
That's the other problem, is that there's this shit called YouTube. There are already nobody's making millions of dollars on YouTube. Why would I go watch somebody you have already paid millions of dollars to be in some dumbass show for 7 minutes at a clip? That's dumb. So it's been around for, I think, 3 months. They have lost 90% of their original subscribers already. That is a huge loss. They had 910,000 subscribers in its first days for the free 3-month trial. Once that's over, they've only got 72,000 subscribers left. That is not enough for a site that's got Kevin Hart on it and shit like that. That is not enough.
I got friends that did open mics that got more people following them for tweets and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
and 72,000, like, you know how many of those are probably people that just forgot to turn the shit off? Like, probably half.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna go to another 90%, fam. And here's the thing. I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, you know what's happening right now? That news story about that 72,000 is hitting everywhere, and people are looking at it going, "Oh shit."
That's exactly what the hell is happening.
And what's fucked up is it was actually pretty inexpensive. I think it's only $5.
Yeah, it's not expensive.
I think $5 is too much for 8-minute shows. How about that? That's first thing. To start off, it was $2. I might have kept it, just to fucking have it. Because here's the crazy thing: that show with the Hemsworth and the dude, I can't think of his name, but he always played the German dude from the Tarantino Nazi film.
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz. Yeah, he has a thing with him and Hemsworth, and that shit actually looks really good, man.
Yeah,
that looks really good. Not enough for me to pay $5 because that's the only thing I saw in it that looked good was that.
Nope.
That looks like I think it's a serial, multiple little 8-minute you know what it is? It's 24 in 8-minute slots. That's basically what it is. That's what they do.
Yeah. Not going to work for me. The last thing I want to get into before we get out of here, I'm a
Oh,
big.
it's that time already?
It's that time already. Make sure you join us midweek. We're going to have some follow-ups on some stuff that we didn't get a chance to hit this week. There's a bunch of racial shit in America this week we want to talk about. Make sure you're following New OG's pod because we're going to cover some of that stuff on there. But the last thing I want to get into is that as a big superhero fan, it was a big deal when Ruby Rose walked away from the Batwoman role. I thought that was a crazy thing to have happened. The CW vowed that they were going to replace her with someone else who's part of the LGBT community because Kate Kane is a lesbian in the comics. They have moved forward with Jafisha Leslie.
Man, bravo to you for knowing how to say her name. That's dope.
Man, a long career in phone sales, you learn how to figure out how to pronounce something that's at least close quickly. You know what I mean? So, Jafisha Leslie is going to be your new Batwoman. She is a black woman. She is bisexual. I think she was most recently seen on the show God Chose Me. I think that was one of her most recent things that she's been seen on. She, I think, is going to be a great fit. They've already decided that it's not going to be Kate Kane. They've got a whole new character that's going to be taken over for this. But I think it's going to be an interesting idea, especially considering our time when, the character of Batman and Batwoman has largely been a vigilante stopping criminals. And we're at a time where how we look at criminality is starting to change and alter a little bit. So I'm wondering how that'll play out.
It's going to be, man, I hope that they do it better. It's going to be a bunch of, remember when Halle Berry played Catwoman?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was basically fighting a makeup executive. That was
I don't think that'll be the case. CW's better than that.
Yeah. So and DC has done better than that since then. But that Catwoman with Halle Berry, as much as I love and worship Halle Berry, is one of the worst things that's ever happened in cinema. Ever. She dunks a basketball. I gotta say it every time I talk about the fucking movie. She dunks a fucking basketball. But that's not even the craziest part about it. It's not the crazy part that she's 5'2" and she dunks a basketball. What the crazy part about it is everybody acts like that's like a regular fucking thing. Like nobody is like freaking the fuck out and screaming and going, somebody call the police, this bitch can fly. Nothing. None of that. It was just a regular just like I'm 6'7". They reacted the exact same way if I had dunked as that when she dunked. And so it's the worst fucking movie ever.
That's the most unbelievable part of the movie for you.
Yes, beyond everything, yes. It was a big street full of brothers playing basketball, and this bitch was in high heels and yacked. Like, she didn't, tip dunk, nigga. She two-hand over the top. Pow! Like, she's fucking Patrick Ewing, nigga. And, nobody lost their fucking mind. Okay? Are you fucking kidding me? On the block, nobody flipping out. They had camera phones when this movie came out, nigga. Nobody's like, you ain't gonna believe this shit, nigga. This bitch is on the rim yakking. Like, oh, do that shit again. Nothing, none of that. They just watched her dunk and let her walk away with not Ellery James, almost his little brother looking motherfucker. I can't think of his name.
Hey, man, where can people catch you online? What's your socials?
I'm Xavier Lamont. You can catch me at XL Comedy on Twitter, IG, and Facebook at XL Comedy.
You can find me at Mocha_Jesus on Twitter and Instagram. Bobby Hill on Facebook. Good luck finding me there. You can find the New OGs at New OGs Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow us there. Find us and subscribe and rate wherever you listen to pods, Google, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever that is. Go to People with Comedy. Subscribe to them. Watch all their stuff. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for this early hour today. We're going to post another watch party live at 4 o'clock, and we'll repost this all over the place. So thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you guys later. That's what's up.
Chop.
Why you so mad that I can't fit you on my schedule? Why you jealous? Thought you knew that I would never fold. So many doubted, fuck them all. Now they gon' have to pay our tickets, sell our shows before we hit the road. They said we couldn't do it, now we do it just to say we did it. Fucking critic on my
we just broadcasted live.
No, he's playing us out.
Oh, I didn't see him. There he is. Okay. Sorry about that, dog.